Hello everyone, my name is Nilanjan Chatterjee, and today we are going to discuss the Carnatic Wars, Anglo-French expansionism in India. The Carnatic War that took place from 1746 to 1763 were a series of significant military confrontations fought in southern India, primarily between the British and French East India companies. Now, to say that it was a struggle, it was a conflict between these two East India companies will be an understatement. So, we have to understand and analyze the background and the processes that happened, that took place during the Carnatic Wars of mid 18th century. As we can see in the first slide of our discussion, to understand the background and context, we have to first acknowledge the fact that when the British and French East India Company arrived in South Asia, their primary intention was trading, and gradually they moved towards imperial expansion. And India became a zone of conflict for European powers. So they started taking sides of your Indian powers to manifest their colonial and imperial ambitions. For example, the British East India Company and the French East India Company, they took side of indigenous Indian powers which were conflicting against each other. Okay, so to understand the Carnatic Wars of 18th century, first we have to acknowledge the global context of Carnatic Wars. The Carnatic Wars were extensions of conflicts between Britain and France, such as the War of Austrian Succession and the 7 Years' War that took place from 1756 to 1763. These two battles actually had a very important role in the Carnatic Wars, as these two powers were trying to consolidate their political territory over their colonies. And the second point is the local dynamics. Why is it important to understand the local dynamics? Because it was no longer a rivalry between the English and the French. It was rather a rivalry between the indigenous rulers, the local rulers of India, that rivalry got transformed into an Anglo-French rivalry, because the English East India Company and the French East India Company, in this particular case, took sides of the indigenous powers. The indigenous conflicts were utilized by those powers. So as we can see, the decline of the Mughal Empire left the region of Karnataka under the nominal control of the Nawab of Arcot, who were often embroiled in conflicts with powerful neighbors like Marathas and the Nizam of Hyderabad. Okay, Nizam of Hyderabad and the Nawab of Arcot. These are the two important political powers of the Carnatic Wars. Now, coming to the next slide, the first Carnatic War took place in 1746. So, it was primarily a byproduct of the War of Succession of Austria, okay, where Britain and France were already engaged in hostilities. Now, this conflict actually extended towards the internal conflicts that were going on in southern India. So, what happened? François Dupleix, a very important governor of Pondicherry, a French governor of Pondicherry, he captured Madras in 1746. Okay, and the French, leveraging their naval superiority, that means their naval military power, seized Madras. Okay, seized Madras after defeating British forces under Admiral Edward Dayton. So that French aggression actually triggered the entire political situation of Carnatic that took place in 1746. Dupleix, who was a very skillful administrator, immediately sought to extend French influence over the entire Madras region. But what happened? The Nawab of Carnatic, or the Nawab of Arcot, whose name was Anwaruddin Khan. Anwaruddin Khan did not support the French, okay, in their political aggression. So, French, under the leadership of François Dupleix, they were victorious at the Battle of Thome and Adair, okay, in 1746, and that was a major military success for the French East India Company. And the Nawab of Arcot, who was Anwaruddin Khan, his son, Fuz Khan, was defeated. And that is how the first step was taken by the French imperialist towards creating a colony at Madras. And it was primarily, as I say, an aggression of France. But then British counteraction took place. Okay, British counteraction took place as with British East India Company's quick counteraction, reinforced by British Navy. They challenged the French power in Madras. But unfortunately, the French were victorious. They defeated the English East India Company, and the First Carnatic War ended with an inconclusive result. That means none of these powers, neither the Nawab of Arcot nor the French, neither the British, actually, the battle was solely inconclusive. Okay, it resulted in a treaty that is known as the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. Okay, the war concluded with the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, which took place in 1748, and it largely restored the status quo. That means neither the French nor the Nawab of Arcot, Anwaruddin, or the British East India Company were benefited by the result of the battle, the first war of Carnatic. So it ended with an inconclusive treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, and every parties of these war actually got back their territory. So this is the first war, the first Battle of Carnatic, the first Carnatic War that took place from 1746 to 1748. Feel free to share your thoughts. We will see you in the next video, where we will discuss the second pattern. Thank you.